Welcome back to another episode of Light Beer, Dark Money. I'm Sean Noble.
And I'm Chris Clements.
And I sound like an announcer.
You are the ultimate radio announcer.
The ultimate radio announcer.
You know, face for radio.
Face for radio.
Is what your wife says, right?
That's. I think I've been told that ever since I was a broadcasting major at ASU.
Oh, there you go. Sean, since we last met, nothing is really happening in the world.
No. It's just been quiet, boring.
Are you looking into buying a plot of land in Maragaza? I heard that you might be.
Yeah. So wow. Well, let's get to Maragaza.
You want to get to Maragaza?
But let's start with part of how we got to Maragaza.
Oh yeah.
Which was USAID. This is the black hole of Democrat operative daisy chain money flow.
Oh yeah.
And has been for decades. These guys, and all you have to know.
And give our listeners a little color. USAID. What is it? How was it created?
So it was created to essentially be the soft arm of, foreign aid, helping poor countries.
Yes.
Providing aid. It's where the programs for HIV and the AIDS stuff to Africa.
PEPFAR, all that goes through USAID.
But it has been but we also know it's been utilized by the CIA.
Yes.
For not great reasons. And all you have to know, you don't have to know anything really about what it does. All you have to do is look at the reaction by the Democrats.
Oh, yeah.
To know
they were going to storm the Bastille.
Something is hitting close to home.
Yes.
They are freaking out.
Completely.
They are freaking the F out. And I mean,
it's amazing to see.
Yeah. I mean, when you have 20 to 30 members of Congress and the leader of the Democrats in the Senate, Chuck Schumer, at a press conference rally demanding, we're going to make them feel the fire. They can't do this to us. I mean, they are out of control.
They're hurting. They're hurting inside. It's been a rough couple weeks for the Democrats.
I mean,
and what's happening, I mean, to your point, I mean, they're railing against Elon Musk.
Yes.
But all Elon Musk is doing, he's not really doing it. He's doing is going into these agencies. Let's use USAID as an example, where everything is blowing up, and he is. I don't know this for a fact, but I'm assuming he's attaching the database to some sort of AI query, and they're going with some keystrokes, and they are funneling data, and they're finding this stuff.
Yeah,
and they're bringing it to light as they're finding it.
Right.
That is what is blowing everybody's mind.
This is the old Tom Coburn trick of opening the books.
Yeah.
They are opening the books. And this is, every time Congress would try to assert its oversight on the executive branch, these agencies would say, well, no, you can't have that. This is confidential. This you don't get to see. Oh, this is, top secret.
And USAID, according to even Secretary Rubio in a press conference 2 days ago, has been the worst.
Yes.
They've absolutely refused to work with Congress on anything. And so they've now brought it into the State Department, which that's freaking everyone out.
Yep.
And under the directorship of
Marco
Rubio.
Yeah. Acting administrator of USAID.
Wow.
That's great.
And what are they finding?
Well, I mean, we can get to what they're finding, but let's go back to so years ago, when I was a young staffer for John Shadegg.
When you were just a buck.
Just a young pup.
Just a wee lad.
And I was his budget committee associate for a short amount of time.
Oh, this would be good.
And we would have conversations about the budget, and he would say, all you need to do to see where people's sensitivities are is gauge whose ox is being gored by the reaction.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, because these people come in and they'd be, well, you can't do this, you can't do that. But now that the truth is being exposed in this way, I mean, the ox is being gored and these people are screaming. Yeah. They're screaming bloody murder because their gravy train is ending.
Yes.
And
it's
no
exposing
mistake,
how deep and how pervasive that gravy train
And it
was.
has, yes, it has been.
For the Democrats specifically.
For the Democrats. And so get into some of the specifics. Well, it turns out that, and this isn't just USAID, this is federal government wide. There's enough federal government subscriptions to Politico Pro that the federal government's spending $8 million a year to Politico.
Yes.
For news.
And what has Politico done over the last 8 years?
Well, it's been pretty anti-Trump.
Worked for Satan? I mean, it's...
And you know, this stuff is going to be a parade of terribles, is what you're going to see over the next.
Well, because they're not
and
stopping
months.
at USAID and the State Department. They're going into Treasury. They're going to go in the IRS, and they're going to run the same program. They're running the same show.
Yeah.
And all this stuff is going to come to light as they find things that are questionable.
Right.
And the other biggest thing that's coming out of their query of USAID is its connection with the Wuhan lab in China. Right. And different educational entities like the University of California, Irvine, and others that funneled money to EcoHealth Alliance.
Well, or USAID funds going to Stanford to then run an operation censoring social media.
Yeah, conservatives
on social media. I mean, look.
It begs the question. You know, I'm waiting to see what congressman or senator is wrapped up in this, because it's there.
Oh,
it's
yes,
there.
it is.
And they haven't blown that up yet.
Well, I mean,
to my knowledge, as of 11:30 on a Thursday, I haven't seen it.
It is amazing to me how much these Democrat members of the House and the Senate are exposing themselves by how much of a freak out they're staging. It's like, oh, yeah, you don't want to be guilty? Don't act so freaking guilty.
Yeah, visceral anger, you know, saying that babies are going to die in Africa because we're going to cancel trans operas in Colombia.
Yeah. I mean,
that was the one there were several of millions of dollars going out to ridiculous things, but that one struck me as the most insane.
Well, look, the list is going to get crazy. I mean, just strap in, folks, because the stuff that the federal government has been spending money on is going to blow your mind. If you think it's bad, you are not thinking expansive enough.
And then the other thing that they revealed in Treasury the other day was that Treasury has not denied a funding request ever. Ever. And so money has gone to terrorist groups and all these different NGOs that are doing bad things against our foreign policy. They've never denied a funding request.
That's unbelievable.
Ever.
That's unbelievable.
And that's why you have the new Treasury Secretary saying, yeah, we're all for Doge.
Yeah.
And every secretary is going to say, yeah, come on in. Well, Justice Department, FBI, everything is going to be on the chopping block. And the Democrats are freaking out. And the Republicans, especially conservatives who've been screaming about this for the better part of my lifetime.
Yeah.
Since the Reagan years.
Since the Reagan years.
Yes, God bless you.
Yeah.
and then you have other like online leftists who are screaming about this too. It's great to see.
It's
welcome to the party.
Yes, it is. If you had any doubts about how deep this administrative state went, just watch the show. Now, some good news. I think is good news.
Okay.
We have doubled, as of late last night, we doubled the number of federal employees who are taking the buyout.
Yeah, it went from like 20,000 to 40?
40,000. So 2% of the federal workforce.
And then the CIA just offered.
CIA just offered.
That's extended beyond the
February
6th.
Yeah.
So John Radcliff is
so the deadline is
wasting no time.
Is the end of today. So we'll probably see a scramble. I mean, will we get to the we're at the 2%. They wanted to get to 3 to 5%. They might get to 3 or 5%.
And what I've read is that of many employees who are not really in favor of the agenda as per se, as Trump are waiting to see whether they even have the authority to fire them and burrowing in.
Guess what? They're going to find out.
And they are going to find out really quick. If you do not like what's happening, you see the train rolling down that track, I would take that buyout. That's a better buyout than you're going to get in the private sector.
Well, not only that,
by any stretch. Nobody gives 8 months. They give 3 months, and then you have to go buy your insurance.
Yeah, if you decide you're going to burrow in and try to fight this thing, you're going to end up worse off than if you just take the
absolutely,
deal. Which was part of the deal. I mean, I think it was ingenious for them to come out with this buyout scheme.
Well, it's a very private sector thing, but with public sector, parameters.
Right.
Because as I just said, in the private sector, you're not going to see an 8-month buyout at full pay and full benefits. No, that's
usually.
You can just work on your underwater basket weaving or whatever you've been doing in that cubicle, deep in the heart of the HHS.
Well, they're not in the cubicle because they're at home.
They're at home.
I mean, did you see the stat? It was like 5% of the federal workforce is working in the office, or as of when Trump came into office. That's insane.
I think what's great is what they're going to be able to do is sell off a lot of these buildings to the private sector, and they're great buildings. And,
that's the other thing.
And then combine agencies into, which is what we've been screaming about since we were in high school as well. Combine a lot of these agencies in one building and just be done with it.
Yeah, because one of the places that DOJ has got its claws into now is GSA, General Services Administration, which manages all the leases and that kind of thing for the.
Yeah, we've been paying.
It's
millions and millions of dollars to buildings that aren't occupied.
Let me give you one GSA story.
Okay.
This is the only GSA story that I have
from when you were a wee
knowledge.
lad.
Yes, I was a wee lad. John Shadegg had been elected to Congress, right? And so, we had to pick office space for the district office, and we went around and he found a place. Now we needed to have temporary space because John Kyle, whose seat we took, gotten elected to the Senate, and he had opted to keep his office space
because he'd been there.
And that makes sense.
He was all situated.
They expanded a little bit because the Senate office is bigger than a House office. So we had to find space. So we found a temporary space to wait until our actual space had been built out and done. Okay, that's pretty standard. So we had, we only inherited a few things from Kyle's office because he kept most of his stuff. So we had a couple desks. We had these dummy terminals. This is back when.
Oh yes, I remember the dummy terminals.
You didn't. You were only connected by I don't even remember how. Literally, we had 3 or 4 bookcases. We had 4 desks. We had these dummy terminals. I mean, we had. You could put this in a small U-Haul van, 18-foot U-Haul, right? And to move it, and I'm not kidding, across the parking lot. Okay, so the move from the office, our temporary space, was across a decent-sized parking lot to our permanent office. Okay.
Yeah.
But we weren't allowed to do that. GSA had to do that.
Why?
That's the rules. So the appointed day came, and GSA shows up to do the move. It's moving day. Great. I'm figuring, okay, take a few minutes because literally, if they loaded on the truck, it's only because they didn't want to carry it an
right
extra
there. You could
100
have
feet.
Throw it on a cart.
Yeah. They showed up in the biggest Mayflower 18-wheel truck. Crew of 7.
Oh my.
7 people from Tucson. They drove up from Tucson to move us 150 feet across a parking lot with enough items that, literally, you could put in a pickup truck.
Oh my goodness. So what did they do? Did they really? They didn't load it in the truck, obviously. All 7 guys could take an item and just move it.
Exactly. They just moved it. It was, and they knew, GSA knew exactly what was on, because they had a
but it's because they have an unlimited budget, unlimited everything. And those are the questions that when government fails, how is it possible? So going back to this horrific tragedy that we still don't have the answers on, that happened in Washington, D.C. last week. And they're saying now that the FAA did not have enough controllers in the control tower, that the one controller who was communicating to American Airlines and was communicating to the helicopter, normally that'd be 2 people.
Right.
So you have all this waste, fraud, and abuse happening across the government, but where you really need personnel for the safety and security of our citizens.
Yeah.
Especially in air travel. And now all the stuff is coming out about how many near misses there are and how overworked all these people are, and the DEI hires, the people can't even, get to work. It's crazy because people expect excellence in certain areas, you would think.
Yeah.
And what Doge and Elon Musk is revealing is that what you are getting is corruption. You're getting favoritism, and you're getting complete and total incompetence.
Yeah.
On so many levels, where with something as clear as the FAA, you should be having excellence.
Yep. I mean,
and GSA bringing a Mayflower truck to move you 150 feet is the epitome of government waste and abuse.
And that was 30 years ago.
Oh, of course.
So imagine how much waste, fraud, and abuse has happened since then. It's only gotten worse.
And guys like Tom Coburn, God bless him, may rest.
That's his soul.
And Rand Paul have been screaming about this for years. And the executive branch always had the president always had the ability to go in and flesh this out, but never, I think, the technology to really do it.
Right.
And the bureaucrats that have been burrowed in forever and we said this on the podcast the other day, would always say, "Oh yeah, I'll get that for you," and that would take 2 months, 3 months, whatever request you were asking. The data's always been there. I think what Elon's doing is just mining that, getting it quickly and releasing it as soon as he sees it, and it's creating this firestorm. Which is so welcomed by conservatives.
These entrenched federal employees who have done their deal with the outside Democrat groups thought that they could ride this out, and they have been in for the surprise of their life.
And I think Democrats kind of thought like, "Oh, Doge, that's so nice. You and Elon just go do your thing." And now they're like,
they believed that they could stop it.
Yeah. And now they're freaking out.
Yeah.
Because they're going to every single agency, every single department, and it's all going to get gutted.
And let me remind people, they're freaking out for one reason, and that is because they're being exposed.
Yeah.
This isn't necessarily they're freaking out because the money's going to be gone, because the money's going to be gone. I mean, they're going to take it. But they are furious and fearful of the exposure that they're going to have for the stuff that they've been doing. That's why they're screaming bloody murder, because the gig is up.
And you know the senator who's like applauding it on the Democratic side?
John Fetterman.
John Fetterman.
Our favorort Democrat
Oh
senator.
my gosh. He's like, well, this doesn't seem right. None of this seems right. I don't understand why everybody's so upset.
Well, and
because he hasn't been bought off yet.
Smart Democrats will see this and say, this is intolerable. We have to stop this.
Yeah.
So it's the Democrats who are screaming bloody murder that are making it. They're creating a bad look for the Democrats. They still haven't learned.
Yeah, like AOC calling Elon Musk stupid.
Yeah. Who's the multi-billionaire?
Yeah, that was rich.
All right, well, folks, it's going to be fun to watch.
Sandy.
Every week we're going to have new stuff to talk
Every
about.
day.
Every day. Yeah.
I am running out of popcorn. I am running out of popcorn. Everyone's been saying, grab your popcorn. I am running out of popcorn. I have to go get more.
Yep.
I can't pop enough popcorn for what Elon Musk is doing. There's not enough popcorn in the world.
So much fun.
It's so good.
All right. Well, until next time, folks.
All right. God bless.
Thanks.